when he got out the car, he said that Willie was looking at them and saying something of the sort that he want to shoot somebody. So I called the police because I didn't know what else to do in that incident because he's only 15. And when the officer got here, I allowed the officer to look at my ring on my phone. I mean, on the door, I have a ring on the door. And my son was on the porch asking him, why do he keep on bothering him? And just a little while after that, I think it was around, I want to say like late May. They was all out in the yard fussing and going on. And the next day when I came home, him and his oldest son was on the porch and they was watching me get out my car and where he directed this one to me. He said, what you looking at? You want this? And he jerked his private part. And that was just so, oh my God. I don't know how I felt at that time, but it made me so mad that I told him, I said, I'm going to tell my partner. I'm going to tell my partner you did that to me. And the next time.
Okay. The next time.
And the next time Mr. James was cutting my grass, this was late August. He was cutting my grass and I come out to pay him. And Mr. Jones says, you ain't good for nothing but sucking dick. You want to suck mines? I'm sorry to say it like that, Judge, but that's what he said.
To tell the truth. So
and that's what he said. And you know, just can't come out your house. Can't come out your house. You can't leave your house. You can't have people over. I don't even know what his problem is.
The camera that you showed the police, is it just video or is it video and audio?
It's video and audio. My stepson telling him, why are you bothering us? And that's, you know what? And every time I have told the officers, I say, if you stand on disrespect my household by being messy to somebody else, we have to live here.
So have there been any statements other than the one involving your stepson that have been violent or threatening in nature?
No, but telling somebody to suck your private part or jacking your private part, that was the last straw for me. That's why I got this, because I mean, who does that? You don't even catch 5-year-olds doing that kind of mess. And this man is 64 years old. And the only thing he got to say is, I'm going to be the last man standing. Well, I don't know how that's possible because I paid for my house 2 years ago. I paid for it from my late husband, from money that I received from the VA. I paid for my house. Where am I going? But this has to stop. You will not be the last man standing thinking this. It can be your circle, right? But nobody can stand by and can't come out their house, can't have company. Can't the children go out. He called the boys gay. Look at them little gay motherfuckers. You know, just, oh my God, I just don't know.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn to Mr. Jones for a minute. Are there questions before we turn to the portion of the proceedings where you'll be testifying or calling witnesses, Mr. Jones? Are there questions you believe I need to ask Ms. Green?
Do I have any questions?
I'm asking if there are questions you believe I need to ask Ms. Green.
Yes, sir, it is. She's been here 9 years. My question is, when did all this start? Because she was here 9 years. For 6 years, she was out sending packages. I've never said anything disrespectful to this lady, and I've been here 21 years.
This is a whole lot of talk. I think the question that this is question time and only question time. So your question is, when did all this start?
Okay.
Is that right?
Yes, that's it. Mhm.
All right, Ms. Green, when did
How
all
could
this start in your estimation?
I estimate it started, I want to say 4.5, maybe 5 years now. And it started good. It started,
As a trigger point.
sir.
Is there a particular event or moment that you would say is kind of where this began?
Yes, sir. When my boys, I want to say they was 5 and 6 years old, out playing basketball in the front, and the ball kept rolling over there in his yard. The ball maybe would hit his tire or hit the lower part of his car or something like that. That's where it started. And we started not letting them play ball out there. And ever since.
All right. Are there other questions, Mr. Jones?
Nope.
All right. Ms. Green, do you have any
every time
witnesses you intend to have testify?
Sir?
Are there other people who you intend to have testify during today's hearing? Other witnesses that I need to bring in?
Sir?
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you, Ms. Green. Mr. Jones, this is your opportunity to present evidence or testimony. When each witness is finished testifying, then they're subject to questioning by the other party, the same way that Ms. Green was a moment ago. You can present your testimony and your witnesses in whatever order. If you want to go first or last or whatever, then you can do that. I know that you said you had Ms. Jones and wish to have her testify as well. So how would you like to begin, with your testimony or Ms. Jones?
Right now, I'm a little confused at what I'm doing. I presented all the evidence I could present. I presented.
No, you haven't presented any evidence. You put some stuff in advance. So this is the actual hearing. You don't. So let me walk through this. I know you sent in some exhibits and whatnot. Those have not been presented in open court. They have not been reviewed by the other party. They have not been reviewed by the court to make sure that those things are admissible and appropriate for this hearing. For all I know, you've sent in things that are inappropriate or can't be authenticated. That means we can't verify that they are what they purport to be. And so the things you've submitted may not be appropriate as evidence in this hearing. What happens in these cases is that the witnesses, you've already been sworn in. If Ms. Jones testifies, she will be sworn in as well. You provide a verbal statement. You don't get to provide a written statement that you send. I know you did this, but your written statement can't just be submitted in advance and stand on its own. It's given through testimony and then vetted through questioning. And so for the hearing, I would hear from you if you wish to make your statement. And then you would be questioned. I would hear from Ms. Jones. If she wished to make a statement, she could go before you or after you. And then she would be questioned after she finished giving her statement. And then if there is evidence or documents or records that are presented alongside the testimony, then I will rule on those as they are brought to my attention or as they are shared with the court. So would you like to start with your testimony?
Can I get 1 second to try to explain to him what you're telling him? Because he's confused right now. What
Mr. Jones,
telling you
what are you? Take your best shot, ma'am.
Okay. What he's telling you is, now that she's done hers, you read the statement. When it comes to your evidence, you ask him to look at the different videos and pictures. He'll rule as to whether or not he's going to use them, allow you to use them, and then him and Ms. Green are going to look at the videos for the evidence that you have. So you haven't submitted any evidence. All we did was upload some things, some documents to the court.
Okay.
All right. So, Mr. Jones, do you want to have Ms. Jones go first, or do you want to go first?
I can go first.
Okay, then Miss Jones will have to relocate, and when it's her turn, you can just go and get her, okay? All right,
Yes,
Mr. Jones, you have been sworn in. You've been neighbors with Miss Green for 9+ years, is that correct?
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Okay, tell me what's been going on from your viewpoint between your household and Miss Jones's household. Miss Green's household, I am so sorry.
Okay. The police has been called to our resident about cameras. She told the officer that the cameras were facing the house. And code enforcement had gave notice. Code enforcement, we called code and never gave us notice. They still have no record of anything concerning cameras on the house. We also and said the officer we cited if we moved the cameras. I present exhibits A1, A2, and A3 concerning that.
All right, so
To create
I'm
a space.
seeing, hang on. No, once you start talking about exhibits, we got to make sure we're talking about the right things. So, all right. So we're going to pull up an exhibit and screen share it. Madam Clerk, just pick something, I guess. We'll see what we have. Whatever you think would have been one. And then we'll screen share it and see what it is.
Okay.
All right. So this is a written statement you provided. I'm going to hear your testimony, so we don't need to do a written statement. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Very good. So we're going to move on to your next exhibit. Okay. So this is a police report that you submitted, and this police report is from the end of July. And so this was an incident where you called the police. Is that correct, Mr.?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the determination they made is that there was not sufficient evidence to bring charges as a result of that incident, correct?
yes, sir.
The kid said he overheard him say he wanted to blow somebody's head off.
Which one was it?
It's not my statement. These are statements of one statement is on the police report 613. The other statement is to the court on paragraph number 4.
All right. Well, I've got all the documents and evidence, so I can review those and make the appropriate determinations myself. So here's what we're going to do next. Miss Green,
All right.
This is your opportunity to have questions for Mr. Jones. If you have questions, you will tell me what you want those questions to be. I will sometimes rephrase them or reframe them in a way that I think makes them more helpful to me or more relevant to the case as it's being decided. Mr. Jones, once you've been given the question from me, it will be your turn to answer. The important part of this process is that everybody is a little bit patient for the delay with the video so that everybody can hear each other and the audio can come through without being garbled or us accidentally talking over each other. Because sometimes when people are too eager to answer, they jump in too quickly and then nobody understands anything, and that includes me. So, Ms. Green, do you have questions for Mr. Jones that you think the court should be asking?
Yes, sir. The only thing I want to understand is, what did I do to deserve all that profanity, all that messing with his private part, even inviting me to his body part? What did I do to deserve that? And how can we move forward to get this resolved?
All
Because
right, well, I'm going to ask half of that. So, Mr. Jones, she wants to know what your motives are when you make sexually suggestive remarks to her.
Your Honor, I can answer that. I have never said anything to this lady disrespectful. I have neighbors that been in this neighborhood. I've been here 21 years. My neighbor next door, 18 years. All the rest of the people have been here over 20 years. I have never said anything disrespectful to this lady. And for how we can get along, Your Honor, I've had no problem with nobody nowhere in this neighborhood. I respect people regardless.
Jesus,
I have no history of that.
Jesus,
I have no history of that. She's talking about how can we get along. Your Honor, how we can get along is I mind my business, she mind my business. I don't care what move. I could stay here for 50 years and never open my mouth to this lady. And it don't even matter. I am retired. I'm trying to enjoy my life. I have 2 disabled kids I'm trying to care for, and I don't have to be here going through with a headache. I don't. All this I did prior to that is a lie. She puts the statements that she done made is criminal. And I would like if they could turn this over to this time, we can get some polygraph tests, and I prove it. I'm telling the truth. I will prove it. I will take that polygraph test any time. I have never said anything disrespectful to this lady. I got the statements on the video. The only thing we had a conversation about, I asked you taking I said, are you threatening me to come to the street? Are you threatening me? No, he said, just left. It's all on video. Otherwise, I said nothing to say. Nothing at all. I don't appreciate being taught statements about sex. My wife has been right here. Why would I make a statement like that to you? I don't even, the only time
that is a
before you got married, you and I had a problem.
Hey, everybody quiet.
Your Honor, he does it in front of his.
What did I just say?
Yes, yes, sir.
So I gave a whole speech at the beginning about being choosy about your questions because you're going to ask questions and get answers you don't like. And now you've asked a question that's not helpful and you've got an answer you don't like. And now you two are talking over each other and squabbling instead of actually producing information for this court that can help decide the case. So I've heard as much of Mr. Jones's articulation. He predictably denied the conduct that you allege that he did, which is what we're having this hearing to decide in the first place. Now, what other questions do you have for Mr. Jones?
Just have him to leave me alone. Don't say anything to me when I come out that door. He said he wanted to be there for his disabled kids. He sure have a room.
All right, this is the time for questions, not argument and requests of the court. So I understand where you're coming from, but we're not at that portion of the proceeding. So Mr. Jones, if we were in the courtroom, this would be the part where I would tell you could step down from the witness stand, so to speak. In this situation, what it really means is you're going to slide over a little bit and make room for Miss Jones so that she can make her statement. So you can go bring her back in, and then both of you can stay frame her on camera. All right, Miss Jones, I'm going to ask if you would please raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm your statements today will be the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. You can put your hand down. What can you tell us about interactions you've observed between Mr. Jones and Miss Green?
Okay, what I can tell you is she's very correct. This whole thing started over basketballs hitting our car. And they were going at a pretty high rate of speed, a couple times of marks. I went over personally to speak with Miss Jones, Miss Green, try to talk to her, mother to mother. Basically, kids can be kids, yes, but don't want our property destroyed while kids are being kids. She told me at that time that she never had a problem with my husband, and we agreed that we were going to keep our children, from destroying property. And like a couple of times her kid was, I did the gun thing at our home, that's on the porch. And so we were going to stop our children from making rude gestures, and we were going to be friends and live comfortably together. Because our homes are close together and we both have front porches, it's not unlikely that we're both on the porch at the same time. So it's necessary to live and let live. That's what she and I decided when we talked. As far as her and my husband's communications, they have argued back and forth. Nobody ever threatened. No, there's been no sexual overtures. The time on the 28th that they had the police report for, she and her husband and somebody who arrived in the car with her husband were all yelling at my husband, telling him to come out there. I was saying, come in the house. She was hollering, go ahead, beat his ass. I got bail. So I was like, coming, and you could watch the videos. They were the first 3 that we sent. If you watch the videos, you'll see them out there arguing. You'll hear me saying, come in the house. They're not worth it. And you hear her saying, beat his ass. And then at one point she said, I invited him to the street. And that was the very first time we've ever had any violence discussed. Normally it's just leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone, alone.
All right, before we turn it over for other questions, Ms. Jones, any questions, or excuse me, any other things to discuss that I haven't thought to ask questions about yet?
No, like I said, our home goes together. We have to live peaceably. The 28th was the first time there was any threats of violence, and this protection order came right after we sent the police over to try and force them to identify the gentleman who got out the car with her husband. And then this came, we were like, what? So we, produced our stuff and did all the writing that we had to do.
All right, Ms. Green, do you have questions that you believe the court needs to ask Ms. Jones?
Yeah, she said I invited him to the street, which I did, but ask her why. Why did I invite him to the street?
Well, that would be what's
on
going on
video.
in your brain, so she can't really speak to that unless you said it out loud. Did Ms. Jones, did she say why she wanted to do?
Yes.
It's on the video. She clearly says why she's doing it. Yes, she said.
Which is why?
I see you move those cameras. She said, I see you move those cameras. That's what on the video, she said, when my husband said, are you threatening me? She said, I see you move those cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Those are her exact words. Watch the video, it's right there. It's not he say, she say, it's on the video. It's direct say.
All right, Ms. Green, what other questions do you have?
Judge, I don't have no questions, because if they send a video in with me inviting him to the street, it is clearly gonna state over and over, because I said it over and over. You invite me to suck your dick, bring your ass to the street. I will beat your ass, because at that point, like I said, that was just enough. You done jack your private part. Now you invite me, and I did. I invited him to that street. I sure did. And if they sit that video in there, you're gonna hear it over and over and over. Why? And I don't understand why she can't say it. She's talking about some camera. Wasn't about no cameras, because the officers came out there like about a week and a half prior and made him turn those cameras he had directed to my door. That had nothing to do with no cameras. It was all about him inviting me, asking me, did I want to suck his penis? That's what that was about. So if they sent you that video, you'll see, Your Honor. So I don't have no questions for her.
Well, the problem we have is that our videos are highly restricted because videos take up a lot of storage space. And so a lot of times the server will reject those up front. So let's start with this. For the Joneses, when do you think you sent those videos in and how long were those videos?
Yesterday, there were 3 different videos. The first one was very short, maybe 2 minutes. The other ones were maybe 3 minutes.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you 2 minutes is not a short video. 2 minutes is a considerable video. So in terms of how the server reacts. Now, were these all sent as a single message or were they sent as messages?
They said one.
I apologize. The audio is real choppy. Can you repeat your answer?
I said we sent them one at a time and as a group.
Okay, and it was
Have we
yesterday.
sent them twice?
Miss Broom, have we been able to receive any of those?
Judge, we only have pictures and those was not submitted because they were sent incorrectly. So they were not sent in PDF. And on today at 8:49 a.m., they replied to let them know that they need to resend them in PDF as well as the videos being too long. But if you would like for me to show the pictures that I do see that's not in PDF, I can, but the videos were not accepted. Judge, I'm sorry, did you hear me?
Yeah, so the videos weren't accepted. How short do they typically need to be trimmed down and whatnot?
Yes, and they advised them at, like I said, at 8:49 a.m. this morning on how to do it.
But how short do they need to be? I know they told them how, but
That
like
I'm not
15,
sure.
20 seconds, right? I mean,
Right, somewhere around there.
yeah. All right. Well, here's the issue. Ms. Green says she doesn't have any more questions. Mr. Jones, you don't have any other witnesses you intend to call, correct? Okay.
No, sir.
All right. Well, these are the most challenging cases that we because that is a system of laws and really a scenario that I don't feel the law is well adapted to deal with. And what we have before us is a stalking order. And that is defined as a knowing and willful course of conduct. And it carries on from there, directed at a specific person, causing emotional distress, placing a person in reasonable fear. And then the other party denies it, and then police review and find, well, it didn't really fit anybody's story, which is kind of a new one in some ways. I mean, we always have a saying, there are 3 sides to every story: the petitioner side, the respondent side, and the truth. And here's a situation where police have come out, had video from both of you, and said, well, it's not really in line with what either of you were saying was going on. But what I will say is this: the issues that you two are having surrounding this property at the moment are not issues for which I think it's appropriate to extend or issue a stalking protective order. And so I'm not going to do that. What else I will tell you both is that each of you is sitting here on Zoom today, having raised your hand and sworn to tell the truth, that you don't want anything to do with the other, You don't want to talk to the other, and you don't want the other one to talk to you. And so to the extent that I can look both of you in the eye right now and say, you promised.
Mm-hmm.
You both promised.
I promise.
What I tell people
I promise.
in situations is that I don't say no in these cases, but what I say is not yet. And what that means is, even though my finding today is that the things that have taken place do not rise to the level of a pattern or course of conduct of harassing, intimidating behavior to threaten another party's safety, that does not prevent a party from coming back to the court with additional evidence to then say, well, what about now? Does this establish a pattern sufficient for an order to issue? To be quite frank, and I say this with some resignation in my voice, it feels like we will be seeing y'all again. I hope I'm wrong. I have a feeling that when you two are not around each other, you're both very nice people. And I have a feeling that when you two are around each other, you're very different people than you probably are with literally anyone else in your lives. And I say that without assigning any blame or finger pointing or anyone else. Miss Green, the things that you have talked about today are concerning, they're troubling, and they are understandably upsetting. And at the same time, Georgia's law in this area is configured in a way that it only allows for the court to intervene with this type of order under certain conditions and in certain circumstances based on things that have already occurred. And so while I very much understand your feelings and your concerns in this situation,